Okay, so full disclosure, I don't like Candace Owens. I think she's disingenuous and will say anything for profit. Just that's not me. And apparently, News One doesn't like her either. I got an article for you guys. All right, Candace Owens resigns from Turning Point USA after calls for her to be fired. Man, wow, really, News One? Really, News One? That's the picture y'all went with. You know what? Y'all jerks. Y'all really do not like this girl. They purposefully, this is all on purpose. Jesus. Written by News One staff. Candace Owens has officially resigned from her position as the communications director of Turning Point USA, which is a conservative advocacy group that cloaks its racism with so-called patriotism. Her resignation came after calls from in and outside of Turning Point USA for her to step down after being accused of making anti-Semitic comments. I am both excited and sad to announce that I will be officially moving on from my role as communications director for Turning Point USA, Owens wrote on Instagram Wednesday night. She then babbled about all her projects like Brexit, which is actually a black baking movement that she stole. Jeez! This is written by y'all staff. Like I'm imagining their newsroom and they're just all taking turns. Like, oh, we got some news on Candace Owens' son. They just start hitting. I don't like her either. Okay, let me explain to you guys why I do not care for Candace Owens. She got on my radar probably about 2 years ago, going on 3 years ago, when Trump first got elected, and she was on YouTube as Red Pill Black. She then, but before that, she was a liberal. You know, she started espousing conservative views. Oh, I saw the light. I got woke, all this other stuff. But before that, she was a liberal. And while she was a liberal, she wanted to do this website called Social Autopsy. And in the web, it would basically dox people. It basically put people who wanted to remain anonymous on the internet. It would put their information out there. And here's where, you know what, whatever, but here's where my problem comes in at. She was willing to do it to children. And she was very unapologetic about doing it to children. And so after the internet rightfully called her out on that, she did an episode of the show called The Rubin Report. And it was basically a debate between her and Blair White. And Blair White, she, what's the thing? She was just completely unrepentant. Like, she showed absolutely no remorse, nor was she like any contrite at all. She was just angry because the only reason she even went to Rubin's show was because she was angry about some things that, you know, Blair White had said about her on the internet. But beyond that, that was a crazy interview. I don't know if you were on the internet at the time, but like, that was a crazy interview, and it really just showed that she's just like, you know, she's very cold-hearted. She really doesn't care about anything beyond what will put dollars in her pocket. And, you know, power to her, but honestly, when that's what you stand for, then I know I can't trust a word that you say. And so, boom, here we are. And then if you need a number two, it was the whole Brexit with Kanye thing. She sat there, slapped Kanye's name on it, and Kanye was like, nah, bro, I'm out. And it's just like, well, why would you sit there and perpetrate like that? So she's shown herself twice to be a bad person. All in all, and that's why News One is taking joy in this. I don't particularly take joy in seeing, even if I don't particularly like you, I don't take any joy in seeing someone in trouble. But when it is of your own making, I completely allow the lulls. So by all means. So let's get back to this article. There have been calls for Owens to leave Turning Point USA for months. Back in February, Turning Point USA campus chapters at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, Bowling Green State University, and the University of Colorado were demanding that Owens be fired or resign. Turning Point USA is above the thoughtless and divisive rhetoric, and as chapters, presidents, and leaders of Turning Point USA, we will no longer stand idly by as they continue. Bad inflection. We do not believe Candace Owens to be the most effective representation for Turning Point USA as communications director or otherwise. We have seen many hardworking activists in chapters across the United States disassociate with Turning Point USA simply because they cannot align themselves with the rhetoric and statements that have come out. The statement read in part. The statement also said that as the communications director, she must know how to communicate professionally and effectively. There's a copy of their, most recently her comments about Hitler and nationalism caused a stir. Was the video cut to make her look like a Hitler supporter? Yes. Do we believe Candace Owens supports the action of Hitler at home or abroad? No, but this case serves as the perfect demonstration of how simple messages she means to convey become controversial, headlining news within a matter of minutes. Again, as a communications director, she must know how to communicate professionally and effectively. Understand that when she speaks, Turning Point USA is associated with those comments. And so she was talking reckless. I mean, I just don't think that Hitler is anything to bring up in modern day anyway. But as News One is trying to really just rub it in, it sounds as if the association Turning Point USA was tired of her, and tired of the rhetoric and tired of the way she was making the organization as a whole look. And that's the thing about when you have an organization or when you run an organization, you're responsible for the betrayal if you go out there as a communication director or a representative, really in any capacity. Like when I was a kid, my dad used to always say, when you go out this house, you represent me and you represent this family. So act accordingly. And not everybody gets that lesson. In case you missed, 29-year-old Owens has said some flattering things about mass murderous Nazi Adolf Hitler. When we say nationalism, the first thing we think about, at least in America, is Hitler. He was a national socialist. If Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. Someone said in a London event to launch the British chapter of Turning Point USA. Yeah, that's like, why even bring him up? Like, why even bring them up? Like, I'm mad that I have to, I just said the N-word, the other N-word on my channel because, if anybody hears that, like, if the bots pick that up, then I'm screwed. But why even bring it up? She continued, the problem is he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German and everybody to be speaking German. Everybody to look a different way. To me, that's not nationalism. So in thinking about how it could go bad down the line, I don't really have an issue with nationalism. I really don't. That is just a terrible analogy. That's just a bad analogy. It really is. Jesus. Why? Even conservative outlets slammed her. Knowledge of history matters, especially when it comes to a topic as important as Nazi Germany. I keep saying the word. The Washington Examiner wrote, sadly, Owens offered little contrition for her stupid. She never does. This is the problem with Candace Owens. She's not contrite. She is stubborn to a fault. Bruh. It's ironic how these comments were the breaking point for Turning Point USA. Owens is the same person who once said the NRA is the nation's oldest civil rights organization and was founded to train Black Americans to use guns to defend themselves against the KKK, a Democrat terrorist group. Okay, the fact that the organization or any organization ever stood by her is despicable. And so this is coming from their staff over at News One. And, I can't fact check her on that whole NRA thing. I'm not going to because I just don't care. I don't believe a word that comes out of her mouth in the first place. And she's just disingenuous. And that role, that angle, that side is what got her the notoriety that, she also desperately wanted. And hey, it is what it is. It's been a couple of years though. I've always considered her someone who is just in it for self, no matter the messaging, no matter what it is, put a quarter in her and watch her go. And, as far as Turning Point USA goes, hopefully, who's that other guy that, Brandon Tatum? I think Brandon Tatum is another guy that they have. So I mean, it's not like they don't have black mouthpieces or anything else like that. There's tons of people that they can use to spout the rhetoric, but this one in particular, I'm not gonna say him like, oh yay, she lost a position. Like I'm not gonna say, oh no, she lost her position. I'm just gonna sit here and say, yeah, I don't blame him. Like I don't blame him. So that's all there is for this video. Please, all the internet, YouTube stuff, like, sub, share, speak. Are you familiar with Candace Owens? Do you like her? Are you also in love with her? There's a lot of people that are like infatuated with her, but that's more along of the persona. I don't think they fully take into account the person, and that's what distance does. You know, it clears up a lot of the blemishes. But you know, once you see those flaws, peace them on out. At least in my book. What's in your book? By all means, let me know. And until the next one.